What's up, everybody? The world is a better place because you are here to join us. And my name is Matt Brown, and I am the host of the Productive Conversations podcast. It is, what is it? Thursday, August 29th, 2024. Today is the day the football season goes into effect. We are here to discuss the college football season. We're going to preview all the conferences, getting ready for a big year, a historic year in college football for 24 and 25. Then we got the NFL beginning next week, and we'll have our NFL coverage kickoff next week as well. But here it is, everybody. Here it is, right here, right now. We are going to preview college football. All right. Alec Reeves coming back after his great debut on Monday. Alec, I'm so happy to see you. I'm sure everybody else is. What's up, Alec?
Matt, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me as always. I'm excited to talk some college football with you, man. Get into it, man. We get into the season here. Season did kick off already with Florida State
True, true.
and Georgia Tech with our week 0 matchup in Ireland. We talked about that last week with Pat McAfee. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Thank you again for having me on and looking forward to this season with the expanded playoff.
Amen to that. And, we'll be here all season long, covering the college football season every single week. And then we got the NFL every single week. This is our second year for college football, third year for the NFL. And then, yeah, with the fall, where we got October baseball coming up, and the NBA is going to tip off, the hockey, all of that. Lots to enjoy. Let's enjoy the moment. And let's kick off our busiest season for productive conversations. And we're so glad to have you join us. All right. So this show's all about college football. So let's talk about it. Obviously, focusing on Division One FBS college football. So we got the big schools here. We're gonna go through each of the conferences, and as you said to kick it off, Alec, the big thing with this special season is the fact that a new era begins in college football. We have a 12-team college football playoff. And not only on top of that, we have a lot of realignment. So teams
Mhm.
switching conferences. It's weird to
Yep.
say, Alec, but college football, though it's been around for hundreds of, it's been around for over 100 years. It's the fastest growing
Right.
sport in the country at the same time, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Especially with NIL deals and players becoming stars
Oh
and
yeah.
all of that.
Oh yeah.
College football is weirdly on the rise for always being around, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, dude, it's booming now more than ever. Now I would say with the NIL deals that these players have been getting now. I think before that we looked at it as they're just kids, but they are still just kids. But
Yeah,
now they're making
rich
money, they're
kids.
signing deals. Yeah, they're rich kids now, and they deserve it. I mean, these kids work very hard year round. We only think about what we see on the field every Saturday or Friday or Thursday or whatever Monday night game. There's games every night of the week almost during the season, but you got to realize that these student athletes are putting in work around the clock, 365 days a year. It is a full time job. I played baseball at community college, and that was almost a full time job. I cannot imagine what these athletes are doing throughout the season to get ready. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
we only
right.
see what's on the field every game day, but they deserve every penny. It's nice to see them getting these contracts, these bigger deals now with the NIL deals. I think that's good. It is a bit of a slippery slope in a way, but yeah, I think college football, man, it's just booming right now, and with the realignment, it's a little confusing for sure. And it's definitely something we haven't seen with the 12-team playoff, which is super exciting there. So I think this season is going to be special for sure, man.
Hit the nail on the head. Special. These players, even though they are getting paid a lot of pressure, but this is their opportunity. This is their moment. And yeah, let's make our mark here and begin our college football coverage for 2024-25. And the way this season will work, so we'll bring to you beginning of the week, beginning of every week, a weekend review of how the games went, all the highlights and stuff like that. At the end of the week, we will do picks, a special pick. So we combine the two shows today, obviously, because it's a preview and the way the schedule worked. But at the end of the week, um we'll do a special show focusing on picks for both college and the NFL. And then that's how what we're gonna do. We kick off 22 straight weeks. I know it sounds a lot, but it's gonna go quick. And we're about to see some big history. So with that, let's start off our coverage. And the big thing mentioned here is the college football playoff. Finally, it's really bizarre. And I started watching college football. I swear to God, this is true. My first college football experience I remember is the infamous 2005 national championship, USC in Texas, Vince Young, Matt
Yeah.
Leinart. And just the way it used to be was they'd have these committees, and definitely a lot of politics involved, but they would just pick committees every year. That's how they would decide who's the best team in the country. And then um, they would pick one of the main bowls, the big ones, Fiesta, Sugar, Peach, Orange, all of that. And then that's how they decided
Right.
it.
Right.
Then they came up with a team playoff system. Remember the BCS national championship game back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
And
dude. The OG BCS Natty. The
yeah,
OG fucking dude. Back in the day, I had to check the papers, man, all the rankings.
check the papers. Oh
I
man.
mean, dude, seriously, I remember growing up. I mean, like you said, it was a committee that essentially voted on who got in and who didn't, and just a bunch of old dudes who knows if they ever played football. I mean,
Right.
obviously they have a lot of influence on the game, but it's still similar now where we get the AP poll.
Yeah.
Um,
And those
you know,
still do have the committees to decide that. But as we expanded more, we went from the big New Year's Six bowls, then the BCS
yeah,
bowl. Then they had a 14 playoff where they would do the semifinals within those bowls. Who
yeah.
remember Marcus Mariota from Oregon and Jameis Winston at FSU? And that kicked it off. He had that famous
Oh,
that really awkward, if you remember that really awkward fumble in the Rose Bowl. I don't know
oh
if you happen to remember.
yeah,
He's like literally about to fall and somehow fumbles the ball. But anyways, that's where it was heating up. And we finally are getting a true playoff system. 12
yes,
teams, once and for
yes,
all, get a March Madness feel, and now we're getting that in January and sorry, December, January.
right.
So let me just read it straight from the playbook, straight from the college football from the NCAA. So here's how this is all going to unfold, just in case you don't know. College football playoff will expand to a 12 team format following this season, 24 to 25. And here's the features of the expanded playoff. So the way it works, everybody. Number one, guaranteed bids for the top five conference champions in the college football playoff rankings. No conference will have an automatic bid. A conference must have a minimum of 8 members for its champion to be eligible for a guaranteed bid. All right. Next point is at large bids for the 7 highest ranking remaining teams, which could include additional conference champions. On top of that, the four highest ranked bids, sorry, let me read that. The 4 highest ranked conference champions will receive a first round bye. The remaining teams will play each other in the first round at the home fields of the better seeds or an alternate venue of their choosing. Matchups will include 5 and 12 seeds, 6 and 11 seeds, 7, 10 seeds, and 8 and 9 seeds. Now, this is my favorite aspect. The quarterfinals and semifinals will be hosted by the New Year's Six on a rotating basis, and that is the 6 biggest bowls, which is not the championship bowl anymore. This is the big bowls. These are the classics, my friends. The Cotton Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Orange Bowl, Peach
Yeah.
Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Sugar Bowls. The championship game will continue to be held at a separately determined neutral site. The playoff bracket will not be reseeded at any time, and the first round games will occur in December, quarterfinal games on or around New Year's Day, semifinal games a week later, and the championship game a week after the semifinal. So hear this. After either on New Year's Eve, like okay, do your festivities, right? And then
Yeah.
after that, New Year's Day, you're recovering from your hangover, you're excited for a new year, you'll watch college football
Mhm.
playoffs. Like, I do not know if you're
Oh,
a
it's
true
the
football
best.
fan, how you cannot be excited for this. They did
It's
this
the
right.
best. Dude, it's the best. That week of football where there's like, like bowl season, you get all these shitty games at the beginning. It's like fucking Bowling Green versus UMass. You're like,
Like the
okay.
Kraft macaroni and cheese bowl or something.
Yeah, you got the GoDaddy.com bowl. It's like two dog shit programs. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, they're still they're the thing about the bowl season that I absolutely love, and I'm kidding around when I say shitty teams. All these teams are in spots in a bowl. To make a bowl is a huge deal. There's only
Yeah,
whatever many bowl games. But what I will say is the bowl season in general, they do come up with some really good matchups, and you'll get teams from, let's just say the Mountain West against a random. Think about this, like one of the better teams from, let's just say, the Mountain West or a smaller conference against one of the worst teams from one of the major 4 or 5 conferences, right?
yep,
And you get these kind of interesting matchups where, you will see some of these smaller schools compete and win against teams, let's say like Stanford or Virginia or whoever, you know what I mean? Like it's good matchups that you don't normally see throughout the season. Um, and that's what I like about bowl season. But yeah, like those big games, the Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl, those are the best, the cream of the crop, right?
yeah.
That's where you get the best of the best matchups. The Texas and Georgias and Alabamas and Ohio States.
And also with this, it motivates teams to keep playing because we've seen a lot of during bowl season, a lot of the best players who are getting ready for the draft, they just won't play. Now you have the incentive to
Right.
play to ride this out, and that's great. The NCAA has really made some bad decisions over the past couple years, and they got in a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, by the way. But the way that they're handling this, it only expands the game more, and I mean, this is going to be special. I'm going to enjoy every single second, every single Saturday, and then the NFL is Sunday, and then it's going to be so dope. And by the way, for anybody wondering, this is actually nuts. So at this time, the national championship game, you hear this, Alec? It will be
Yeah.
held at Atlanta, Georgia, on a Monday. It's going to be at the where the Falcons play, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And hear this.
Dude,
Guess
I
what?
feel like it's always there. I don't
Yeah,
know
right.
why.
Either but hey, this is it this year. But hear this, it's gonna happen on January 20th, 2025, and you know why that's a bit unique day?
January 20, 2025. No, why is that unique day?
It's inauguration day, so we will be having a new president that day as well. So
Get out of here.
hopefully, maybe this game will be an escape for somebody, but there will be a new president
That is
taking
interesting.
office that day too. But we can worry about fuck the politics. It's about college football, right? But
So
either
so
way,
that's the day of the national championship game too,
that,
you saying?
that's right.
Wow, that is
And
interesting.
divisional round for the NFL will be the day before. Oh boy, baby.
That's gonna be a big week in sports and the world and politics.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. But like we said, dude, this is the right move. This is gonna be great. And let's see how we get there now. And with that, let's just go through the country right now. We're gonna go through each of the conferences. This is one already a big transition. There was the Power Five conferences, and well, a lot of teams left the Pac-12. Pretty everybody but two. They only have the
Yeah,
University of sorry, they have Oregon State in the Pac-12 and Washington
Washington
State.
State.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we'll
Washington.
worry about that a little later. But um, we got that.
So it's the Pac-2 now. It's no longer the Pac-12. It's literally 2 teams.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go from
That's
there,
actually
but
absurd.
it's unfortunate. But with all these TV deals and all these incentives, we have teams leave, and well, a lot of conferences are starting new eras. And I think we should start with our first era to discuss our first conference to discuss, who is starting a major era this season, is the Big Ten, a conference mostly associated with the Midwest. But this year they added Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA to the mix. First, how do you feel about that right away?
It's crazy. I mean, I love it, but I also I have mixed feelings about the conferences kind of changing over. Teams, big name schools going to different conferences because of media deals. I understand it. It is a little bit confusing, and I think on paper it looks great. You see these matchups. I think it's probably a good thing for the game, and I'm super excited about it. And those teams that you just named are obviously massive football schools.
Yeah.
You said Washington. You said USC, Washington, Oregon,
And
and
UCLA.
UCLA. So yeah, I mean USC, Oregon, and what what's the other school? So USC, Oregon,
UCLA
and UCLA.
and Washington.
Excuse me, I'm thinking of Washington. So Washington, interesting, is not ranked. Preseason rankings, they're not ranked, but them USC and Oregon are three of the best schools for football, I would say,
Yeah.
in the country, really. So that's a huge addition to that conference. I think Oregon right away is going to compete for the Big Ten title.
Yeah,
Um,
that's who exactly what I was thinking. I think there's a good chance you might see this team. I might even go as far to really make a push. And with their with their coach rising, and that team's making some noise, and even with the Bo Nix replacement, let me just get the name really quick. But as I do that, the one that sticks out, I do think is Oregon. I'm really
hmm.
excited to see what this team has. Um, and I know they have. If you saw the Nike, what's his name? Phil. What's his name? Anyways, Nike's really they really want to invest. I know the guy. I should excuse me.
Phil Knight? No, not Phil Knight. You talking about
He,
somebody that works at
yeah, yeah,
Nike
yeah.
or
I
an
think
athlete?
Phil Knight. He's really been investing in giving a lot of NIL money, trying to recruit players. He's
Yeah,
86 years old, and he's on the record saying that he wants to see Oregon before it's all done for him. So,
yeah,
with
yeah.
the one thing with NIL and also the transfer portal, first time mentioning that in the show, they really have a stacked roster, both offensively and defensively.
Yes.
And I will go as far as to say it that I think there's a good chance that it will go down to either them or Ohio State. And I would even
Mhm.
go as far as to say Oregon. I'll say it right now. I'll pick my national championship pick to go to Oregon. Um,
Wow, that is a bold prediction. So right away, right at the top of the show, we're 15 minutes in,
yeah, I
and
know. I usually
you're
like to
you're
grow
saying
it a little.
Oregon's your natty thing? You got
Not
it.
necessarily,
I
but
mean, dude, I love the pick. Don't get me wrong, but I was just curious. Okay,
yeah,
I
no,
love that pick.
I just from what I'm reading and what I'm seeing with the little films I'm with the little shows I'm watching regarding them, a lot of people have them high, and
Oh yeah.
they'll start the season this year. Um, Let me see who is Oregon kicking off with? I'm gonna start here with Oregon and Idaho already opening at a 43.5 point favorite. So right off the bat, they're trying to establish something here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really liking what I hear. And by the way, Gabriel, all right, Dylan Gabriel looks like he's going to be the starting
Yep.
quarterback. And what I'm reading
Yep.
here, he's a lefty.
He's a transfer.
Yep. Oh, we're gonna see that a lot. A lot of the big guys transfer it. As we know, that's just part of the game now. Accurate lefty quarterback with a lot of potential, even more. So, yeah, that's one team that's sticking out. We're going to see if Ohio State's offense is going to score a lot this year. They're opening as a three as the third ranked team in the country, one of the better offenses in the game. New offensive coordinator Chip Kelly's taking over. And then we have Micah and Henderson and transfer Will Howard. There's a lot of weapons going on there. Ohio State could be legit as well.
Yep,
And also like in
definitely.
Michigan, they have a lot of chips on their shoulders. Obviously, a new coach, or even though he already has one win on his belt. But
Oh yeah, Michigan's always good, man. They're always good. I mean, they are going to regress a bit. Obviously, they just won the national championship. Um, they're going to regress because they lost. JJ McCarthy. They lost.
yeah,
Um, Blake Corum, their horse. I mean, he was an absolute horse out of the backfield for them
yeah,
last season.
he was
It
he's
seemed
the
like
MVP.
it's dude, yeah, it seemed like they would just feed that guy and get out of his way. He was just a freak of nature, and anything inside the 10-yard line in the red zone, they could just run the football. So, and I think that is very effective in college. So, hopefully they can replace him with another good running back. I'm sure they will, but I see them regressing a bit. I don't see Michigan as a school that's going to absolutely boat race everyone and just stomp everybody. But
Mhm.
they're still going to be extremely competitive. Just a slight regression, I predict.
What do you think about Penn State? I feel like the last few years for them, so many high expectations, and they somehow blow it against one of their in conference teams, whether it's Ohio State or a ranked opponent. Do you think they
Yeah,
can have a good season bouncing back?
yeah, I do. I definitely do. I think Penn State, like you said, they've always their biggest issue has been they're a fantastic team, but they can't win the big games. They
Hmm.
can't win those games against Ohio State or against Michigan or against some of basically their biggest games of the year. Those one or two games a year where it's really this is it. If you win this game, you could go undefeated or make the playoff or win your conference. It seems like every year they come up just short, but they're a fantastic program. I'm a fan of Penn State myself. I've always loved Penn State. I'm not sure why. I think it's just the simple color scheme and the
Hmm.
whiteouts they have and that rocking stadium. But I'm also a Michigan fan, so you can't really. Yeah, I don't know who to root for honestly if they were to go head to head. Um, but yeah, I think Penn State, they're definitely a very, very good team as always. They're going to be right there in the mix. I definitely like them to make the 12 team playoff, I would say. And I don't know if that's a bold prediction or not, but I could definitely see them making the playoff. But the Big Ten is stacked. I mean, I was running some numbers last night, and the only other conference that has more teams in the top 10 preseason rankings is the SEC.
Yeah, as
Um,
always. Hmm.
as always, that's predominantly the best football conference in the country every year. But I will say that so the Big Ten does have four teams ranked in the top 10 in the preseason rankings. And the SEC has one, two, three, four teams as well. Um, but overall, the SEC has nine teams in the top 25. And the Big Ten, which has a lot more teams, granted, it has like 22 teams now, the Big Ten,
That's
they only have
crazy.
six teams in the top 25. So it just shows you how deep the SEC really is. Like, there's no off weeks in the SEC. Um, in a way, like, no matter you're playing, you're going to have a tough game. But in the Big Ten, you'll get crummier schools like, Michigan
Like
State's not very
Rutgers,
good. Indiana, yeah, Rutgers, Purdue. You get some of these teams that you're like,
Maryland.
you're not gonna beat Michigan, and you know
Yeah,
that.
definitely not in football at least. Yeah, I mean
No,
sometimes like I feel like this could be a talk for another day, but some of this with the at least in football, some teams have to spread out a little more because they like get and they really get their ass beat. I mean, but That's what's weird.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
adding,
but
as you mentioned, three
that
ranked teams, three ranked West Coast teams on that. This is now truly a conference countrywide from
right.
sea to shining sea, literally now. And yeah,
True, true. See, I never thought about it really like that. It's a good point that, a team like Oregon's now gotta travel to play in Ohio, which is freaking halfway
yeah.
across the country.
And I
Or
saw look,
Rutgers. Rutgers is in Jersey. You're
that's
talking
right, New
about flying
Brunswick.
coast to coast.
I saw Penn State has a lot of West Coast
Yeah,
games towards
man.
the end of the season, and that could make a difference. And that's why, these 12-team playoffs. Now,
Yeah,
one of the things we always talked about as a college football fan, one loss, your season's pretty much fucked. Now,
yeah,
how it's shaping up, that may definitely be the case. Maybe there's a little more wiggle room, but really, you can't afford more than two losses. And when we go talk about the ACC with Florida State already down one. It makes a difference. So every game matters, and now adding the travel aspect, it's important to note. But before we move on to focus on the SEC, who do you see coming out of the Big Ten? And now what's also cool about the college team playoff conferences matter more than ever. Like divisions in baseball, you got to win to secure your spot. In divisions in baseball, even in football as well, to an extent. But you could still be a wild card team, make a run. But all about winning your conference now. Who do you like coming out of the
definitely.
Big Ten? I say Oregon for me. What about you?
So I love your Oregon pick. I think that's obviously a great pick for me. It's I'm gonna have to say Ohio State only because
Mhm.
it's their conference to give away, right? Oregon's
Yeah,
coming in big. Ohio State's gonna wanna win the conference, which they do, which they want to do every season, obviously, but they don't want Oregon to come in first season and win their conference, right? That they've been dominating for
yeah,
years.
right.
Um, that and that's just, it could go either way. Obviously, those are the two best teams in this conference, I would say, at least preseason, assuming everything goes as planned. But Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback for Oregon rather, is he's the Heisman favorite, right?
Yeah.
So he is, when you have a guy like that, you got to give the edge to Oregon. So I'm gonna go Ohio State. You're going Oregon. We'll see, man. I think
Hey,
it's gonna be a dogfight no matter what. It's gonna be a crazy season.
watch that be the Big Ten championship game, man. All right,
Hell
so
yeah, bro. Hell yeah. But do not sleep, real quick. Don't sleep on Michigan. Don't sleep on Iowa making a little bit of noise. And don't
yeah.
sleep on, of course, USC, dude. USC's, they're going to be competitive too. So, really good football all over that conference.
Ohio State's so underrated in football. They produce a lot of great linemen.
Mm.
Always figure out how to stay ranked. And maybe this is a good chance for that school in particular with an expanded playoff to exactly prove why they are a program that matters more than just Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Let's could see what the football players provide too. All right.
Dude,
Now,
Iowa is the most boring team. They are by far the most boring team you'll ever watch. They're just good defensively, but
okay.
dude, bet the under if you're ever betting on football. Bet the under on Iowa games because they're atrocious offensively. But they'll win. They'll ground and pound you, and they'll win like 10-6 or 12-10 or something. But anyways, let's move on.
Good move on that. All right. Now we talk about the Mecca in college football with the SEC. Now they added Texas and Oklahoma. First, your thoughts on that? You already have the stacked conference in football. Now you add Oklahoma and Texas coming off big seasons themselves. What do you think,
Yeah.
dude, on this?
So it's definitely a loaded conference, the SEC. As we talked about, it's by far the strongest football conference. There's just some big schools in there that are always very competitive with Bama. You got Auburn, you got Florida, Georgia, LSU. But the first thing I wondered was why the heck did Oklahoma switch from the Big 12 to the SEC?
Hmm.
What was their reasoning? I didn't do any research as to why they moved, but I'm just kind of curious as to why they move conferences. Doesn't seem
Okay.
like a
While I get that answer officially, so I have it right here. Thank you to AI and ChatGPT. So according to this, University of Oklahoma and the University of Texas moved to the SEC on July 1st, 2024 to compete with other top athletic programs and improve experience for their students. They did it specifically for geographic. They felt it would work out geographically. They thought it was good for the athletic competitions, and they also wanted to join the SEC for its first year under the new TV deal with ESPN. So once again, we can go to capitalism on that one.
okay. Okay, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense geographically speaking. They're right above Texas. Um, they're right down in that region, the southeastern region of the country, more south than anything. But yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, this conference is absolutely loaded. It's going to be really, really fun to watch Texas play Alabama and Georgia
Shit.
and LSU every year now, and we get the pleasure of watching some of the best programs in our nation's history go head to head. Like
Right?
absolute the blue bloods of football. You talk college basketball, you got Kentucky, you got Duke, you got UCLA. I mean, this conference has all of those teams football wise that you could ask for. No Nick Saban this year. It's going to be really weird not having Nick Saban on the sideline screaming at his guys up 70 points. Um, right? I mean, that guy, he's incredible. But yeah, this conference is loaded. I still think it's Georgia's conference to lose, though. They're the favorite. I would pick them. I think you'd be a fool not to pick Georgia to win the SEC. Um, because of how dominant they were last year. And, they're returning a bunch of guys. Carson Beck, their quarterback, is the the runner up right now to win the Heisman, according to DraftKings. Just looking at odds for the Heisman, right?
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean they have a loaded team. I would personally pick Georgia, but I also like Ole Miss. Where's
Yeah,
your head at?
Ole Miss making a big push, already starting at number 6 this season.
Yeah.
Um, a very. I was wondering about LSU. They rebuilt their defense with Blake Baker. Um, they had a disappointing start to their season, but they made up to it towards the end. But I'm really liking LSU what they're pulling off. And watch out, I don't know if they'll a team that could also be competing for this conference. Watch out for Texas A&M. They also have a new coach. A lot of people like Riley Leonard. He might be pushing to be at least a Heisman finalist. And again, I think it's all about their defense there. And when they play Notre Dame specifically towards the middle of the year, that could really establish them. So I'm going to say I wouldn't be surprised. I'm really liking what Texas pulled off. And Quentin Ewers could also be at least a high draft pick in the NFL. We'll probably get him before we see Arch Manning come in next year. But I'm
Yeah.
really liking actually Oklahoma. I think them go to a new conference.
Mhm.
Liking what Jackson Arnold could bring. I saw actually a lot of film on him today. Also with a good defense will be fun. So I'm gonna say Oklahoma making a huge impact,
Okay.
taking the SEC right away in their first year at that school.
Dude, I love it. I love it. That's a hot take right there. I love that.
That's where we're nothing but. So we started with Oklahoma, Oregon at the Big Ten, and Oklahoma at the SEC. It'll get a lot of people riled up, and that's what we want. And last thing we have obviously Alabama starting their new era. It's Kalen DeBoer who brought Washington to a national championship last year. He steps into
Oh, really?
Alabama. Yeah. So do you think that is Bama still going to be the same Bama, even with him taking over?
I would say definitely. I mean, they breed. NFL talent. I mean, they're
Yeah,
just
tell me
yeah.
about it.
I mean, Bama, you can never count them out. That would be like, it's not the same, but it would be like taking Belichick off of the prime Patriots and seeing how they would do the next year. I think, in a way, it's not really a great comparison, but I definitely think they're going to be very, very good this year again.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're going to regress slightly, but again, they have a stud quarterback as well, Jalen Milrow, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, right?
Yeah, Jalen
Um,
Mills, I think, actually.
yeah, no, I think it's Jalen Milrow, I
Oh, is it
believe.
Roll Miller? I stand corrected on that.
Yeah, he's
You're
he's
right.
their
You're right. And
quarterback.
I apologize. You got that right. It is Jalen Milrow. My bad on that.
Oh, you're good, man. Yeah, so they're going to be very very good again. It's just it's going to be a dogfight in that conference for sure. I love your take on Oklahoma. I think they're definitely going to make a big impact right away. They're a fantastic team. They're like a run and gun team too that just puts up a ton of points every week. Um, but now they're going to have to get used to some of these lower scoring games
Yeah.
in the SEC. You play in the Big 12, you can you can win games 65 to 58 or something, but in the SEC, you're gonna have to play and win some of these lower scoring games where teams are playing extremely good defense, right? These are
Yeah.
NFL caliber defensive linemen and cornerbacks, and it's going to be a lot harder for Oklahoma to run the table and be dominant. But I think there's a good chance that they could definitely be right there at the end, playing for a conference championship.
For sure. And that's one of the real things, because I understand a huge jump from 16 to get there, but it's now 12 teams, and that's the thing. I think it could go down to a conference championship game, and we'll see, especially, with the Red River game, that aspect now, even more stakes can be there. Um,
Right, right,
I think that's the some of these picks, one of the things is because of the extra, is because there's now opportunities with now the 8 extra spots to get in a playoff game. So
right.
that's one of the things with my decision. So we talked about Big 12. So why don't we continue? Anything else with the SEC before we move on, I should say?
One last thing I wanted to mention was you did mention Texas A&M, right? Their matchup with Notre Dame. You go
Yeah.
wait to see that. I could be wrong. No, they're playing literally this weekend.
Yep.
They're matching up. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
So that's why I think right here, this is their moment to see how legit their season could be going into their conference.
definitely, man. This is a massive game this weekend with Notre Dame matching up against them. Preseason rankings, it's set number 7 Notre Dame against number 20 Texas A&M. In Texas A&M though, so Notre Dame's got to travel into Texas and play a game in late August, early September in the heart of Texas, in probably 98-degree weather, and it's going to be a battle. But I will say, yeah, it's going to be a good benchmark game for both teams for sure. Looking forward to that matchup this weekend.
Can't wait. Can't wait to get into it. All right. Now let's go with the Big 12. More realignment talk. Spoiler alert. So, Big 12, though they lose Oklahoma and Texas, Big 12 also adds Arizona, Oklahoma State, Kansas. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry. They add the new school here is Colorado. And obviously, the big thing there, Colorado is
Oh yeah.
by name probably the most popular non-ranked team going in, right? And with all the hoopla, obviously Coach
Big
Prime,
time. Yep.
Travis Hunter, who is definitely he was a menace in the Pac-12. Can he transition to that in the in the Pac-12 to the Big 12? And obviously Shedeur Sanders with a huge name, but a lot of people feel like this team could be overrated. They're not playing a ranked team at this moment. Um, I basically should start off the Big 12 with adding Colorado. Um, how you feeling with this? How do you feel? Do you think Colorado, with all the hoopla they get, are they going to back
Yeah,
it up, or are they overhyped like a lot of some people think?
it's really hard to say. I mean, if I had to lean one way or the other, I would probably say they're overhyped. But again, it's really hard to say because they're number one, they're joining a new conference that they've never played in against teams that they rarely have ever seen, if ever.
Yeah,
And
right.
number two, I think, um, I just think, looking back to last season, right? They started the year, I believe, against TCU, right? And I believe they won, if
Yeah,
I'm remembering correctly. And
that's
a thrilling matchup.
exactly right. Yeah. And when they were the runner-ups for last year, it was a big deal. They gave him a
Yeah,
Linsanity run, then they beat Nebraska the next year, and then it kind of went all downhill from there. They had that very ugly Colorado State game last year where everybody's
yeah,
fighting each other, and then it ended pretty ugly, to be honest, for if anybody was paying attention. But now they wonder with the NIL
yeah,
opportunities, adding coaches like Warren. I think Warren Sapp joined the coaching staff of Dion and stuff. Maybe that could give them some gravitas, but also I just keep hearing mixed reviews for what I'm reading. Some people don't like playing for Coach Prime. Some people really
yeah,
turned off like having social media, names on the back of their jerseys. And like
yeah.
I know if you talk with Dion, he's all focused on the football, but you know, what is the true underline of all this stuff, if that makes sense? And if they can make an impact in the Big 12 and they
I
can,
would,
the big thing, I think they need to figure out how to just end at 500, but they're probably the most
right,
popular name. So, in
right.
the entire country is Colorado.
Dude, seriously. Yeah, I've never seen a team with more hype around them going back to last year and this year that has, very, very little chance of actually making a deep run in any sort of playoff format or any sort. Like, yes, they're a very good team. They're going to be competitive. They're going to beat some great teams. They're going to beat some good teams. They might lose some games here and there. I think, like you said, if they can get to 500, that would be great. I think last year it started very good and then kind of fizzled out. I think
Yeah.
if they can keep some of that momentum going, if they can start the season with a win, and kind of just keep building on that, the sky's the limit for Colorado. They have the talent. It is a tough conference. With Utah, the addition of Utah is a big one for me in the Big 12. I would say Utah
Hmm.
coming in is the highest ranked team in that conference at number 12.
Yep.
They are the favorite to win the Big 12, right? They're coming from the Pac-12 with Colorado,
That
with Washington, with a
Yeah,
bunch of new pros.
they added Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, as you said. Those are your four additions to the Big 12.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, in Colorado. So, I mean, I
Yes.
love Colorado. I absolutely love them. I don't know about you. I wanted to go there in high school. I was like, I want to go to Colorado so bad, the University of Colorado.
You really?
It looks like a dream, man. You're out in the mountains.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
it's absolutely a beautiful campus. And with Sanders coming there and kind of building their program up, think about this. Before Sanders was there, who the hell was going to watch a Colorado football game? Nobody. They're not a football school. They're not. They have no business
Yeah.
being a football school. You know what I'm saying? It's like not no offense to them, but nobody was watching Colorado football before Shadir Sanders was there and Deion Sanders prime time. It's
Travis Hunter's fun to watch too.
Oh my god, he's unbelievable. They're loaded chock full of amazing talent that makes you want to put the game on no matter what. And with Coach Prime playing, he's always a show. I think he's a very insightful, smart, great coach. I really love Prime as a coach. I know a lot of people don't like him because of his style. And and I've heard recently that, I heard a story about how he essentially blocked a media figure from interviewing him.
Yes, from
Um,
CBS. And this was due to leak
right.
it. Like leaking information regarding legal issues with his son, and he was upset on how that was handled. Not Shador,
Oh,
the other one that's on the team. I can't think of his name right now, but not Shador.
okay. Yeah. So I mean, regardless, the guy he's accomplished more in his lifetime than most people ever
Yeah,
could dream
right.
of. And he's coaching, a very respectable Colorado program with his son behind center. It's a great story. It's one that I'll follow all year long, no matter what. I don't care who they're playing or when. I'm gonna watch Colorado when they're on. They're they're an electric program and they're worth watching. I don't care who you are. If you like football, watch Colorado this season and they will light it up. They're a good team. Even when they lose, they're fun to watch. You know what I mean?
That I give you. So do you think that they can compete? If the Big 12, it seems like it's Utah's to lose. Though Arizona, Oklahoma State, Kansas State are all ranked as well. Utah seems to be miles ahead of them
Yeah.
due to how they're
Yeah.
coached, and both sides of the ball is really good. So with that though, I think we will both agree we're going to go with Utah to take the Big 12. But do we see anyone competing them, especially Colorado, as America's most interested team, if you will?
Yes, I think Utah definitely the favorite, but I could see Colorado definitely competing with them. I could certainly see Colorado jumping up into the rankings this season, whether that be in the top 15 or the bottom 15. Bottom 15 meaning 15 through 30.
Yeah.
I could see them being in the top. I don't know if they even have rankings past 25, but anyways, yes, I think Colorado will be very competitive. Um, Again, don't sleep on Arizona, don't sleep on Kansas State or Kansas or Oklahoma State, particularly Oklahoma State. I think that team out of all those four teams we had just mentioned poses the greatest risk to Utah because of their star running back Ollie Gordon.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would say if I had to pick, I'd lean Utah, but Oklahoma State would be my other pick for this conference championship.
All right. Great stuff on that one. Great stuff on that one, Mr. Reeves. And I just want to say really quick. So before we move on, I just wanted to give a shout out to our great friends at Magic Mind. And college football's back. We've got an action-packed season, expanded playoff schedule. All top schools and stories are coming back to our screens. We have a lot more to break down here before kickoff when college football fans pack into tailgates around the country and the players take the field. The best of the best will have to lock in, play their hardest, and focus on winning, right? We all could use a little bit of that elite player focus and extra super fan energy. Luckily, you can get it with a bit of a help from our friends at Magic Mind. I mentioned Magic Mind before, and our productive conversations team loves to shout out this fantastic product, and I really mean that. And I promise that their shot really does work. I promise, promise, promise. It's simple. You add Magic Mind to your morning routine. You could go before the gym like I do, or you can take it on your train to work, or you could take it right before you drive to work on a commute. However you get there. If you want to take it before you fly a plane, do that too. And it would actually work. I really mean that. But you could take it every single day and it naturally boosts your energy levels. Simple as that. Since I started taking Magic Mind, it genuinely is easier for me to wake up in the morning and have a lot more focus throughout the week. And it and I'll tell you this is true, Alec. Ever since I started taking Magic Mind, when I wake up, I'm up. I can't even touch the snooze button, or I'm
Wow.
just be really lazy. I really mean that. Big fan of Magic Mind. So,
I'm gonna
um,
have to try it out
well,
then for sure, man. Definitely.
Well, I'll exactly explain in 1 second where you could get that, Alec. But I just also wanted to add that Magic Mind tastes good, full of vitamins, and their signature nootropics to fight back against fatigue and give you longer lasting energy that and all important mental clarity is added to it as well. I can't recommend this stuff anymore. College football fans listening and who are ready for game day with Magic Mind, you can too. And for the members of the Productive Nation who are interested in this, including our friend Alec right here, you can go check out the magicmind.com website, and I promise you, you will not regret what you are about to see. So here's a special code that Magic Mind has given us. You could get 48% off your first subscription using the discount code PCMB20 or get 20% off a one-time purchase using the same discount code. That is PCMB20. Head on over to magicmind.com/PCMB. And if you're interested in Magic Mind, don't forget to use the code PCMB20 after that. We have the link and code in the description, so check that out as well. And that's one more time, magicmind.com/PCMB. Then use discount code PCMB20 to get 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. And this is a limited time offer, so get that as soon as possible. Thank you to Magic Mind for sponsoring us as always, and take advantage of this great opportunity. All right, so we'll continue on. So let us now talk about the ACC, right? ACC, we got a lot of things going on with the ACC this year, which includes, you know, who do we got going over here? We got Florida State, first things first. Florida State, tough loss to the SEC's Georgia Tech to start it off.
Yep.
24-21 loss that went right down to the wire. Um, at this moment, Florida State is still ranked as the 10th seed despite this loss. But yeah, somehow this top ranked defensive
Yep.
line people were really into. They gave up 190 yards on the ground. So first things first regarding ACC talk. Florida State, huge favorite coming into this. You mentioned it on the show earlier this week about how they felt disrespected getting snubbed from the college football playoff last year. You'd think they would come in going. They have the stud quarterback in DJ. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but we'll just go with DJU. Everyone knows I'm talking about, who did play well, didn't give up a
Yep.
turnover, didn't turn over the ball, 193 yards in the air,
Yeah.
but wasn't able to beat Georgia Tech. But despite this loss, do you think this will bring Florida State down, or will they bounce back from this?
I mean, it's good. It's a good question. It's really hard to tell. I would say overall they're still gonna have a great season. Um, I would hope they use this as motivation to win out and
Bulletin board
you know
material.
win the rest of their games. Yeah, bulletin board material. I was extremely surprised to see them lose to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is out of the ACC. They're not an SEC team, but they are a very good team. But I was surprised to see Florida State drop that game in Ireland. I think everybody was on Florida State. Everybody was backing them to win that game and hope this season strong. But I don't think their season's a complete wash by any means. Um, Looking at their schedule really quick, they have a somewhat favorable schedule. They play Boston College this Monday night. Then they get Memphis, Cal, SMU before they have to play Clemson. But the only other ranked teams on the schedule are Miami and Notre Dame. They do
Mm-hmm.
have to play North Carolina and Florida. But other than that, I mean, their schedule seems pretty favorable. I think if they can beat Clemson and possibly even Miami, then if they drop that game to Notre Dame, they could definitely come out of here with two losses on the year, which would
Mm.
leave them um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would leave 10-2. So if they can, I know it sounds crazy, but I could see them going 10-2 and making the final 12 if it's possible. I have no idea. It depends on how the rest of the good teams do, obviously. But no, I don't think their season's a wash by any means. I think they can certainly still win a lot of games and be very competitive.
just can't take every single game for granted from here on out. And speaking of
Exactly.
other teams that could compete in this division,
Yeah.
people still are into Clemson. As you mentioned, the U making a rise over the past couple years back as a top program. People like NC State coming into this, and even though they're not
Yeah.
ranked, and as we mentioned, this pivotal game on Sunday night with Boston College coming in with a big game with them, and Boston College and Florida State. Some people think they can get themselves ranked again with Boston College. Um, what other thoughts with the remaining teams of the ACC do you think could make a push?
ACC, it's kind of wide open in a way, other than Clemson. I would say they're the heavy favorite with Dabo Sweeney, coaching them. He's been coaching them for as long as I can remember. They're always good.
Yeah, right.
Clemson, Florida State with their loss to open the season, it's hard to back them to win the ACC. Now, Clemson could just as easily drop their first game, or they could have a big upset. We don't know that. It's easy to point fingers at Florida State because they're the only team that's played so far. But after this week, there's going to be a bunch of upsets. There's going to be a bunch of teams where, every week there's an upset, right? Every
Yeah.
single week, a big name school goes down, right? And it's unfortunate that Florida State, was the first to go down. But again, they're the only team that's played. So we'll give it some time, but I would lean definitely Clemson. I really like Miami, the U, but again, there's a bunch of other teams that could definitely make a run. I would point towards North Carolina, Duke, and
Yeah, Duke's been having really good seasons lately.
yeah, they played incredible last year. They were ranked most of the year last year. I'm not sure who's returning on that roster, but I would say they're a very good team as well. Louisville usually is pretty good. But yeah, I think it's a great conference. It is interesting that SMU is now in the ACC. I did not realize they got added. I'm
Yeah.
not sure which conference they joined from. Um,
I might have missed that as well. Okay. So the ACC added SMU, Stanford, and Cal Berkeley. Hmm. Okay,
Cal
okay.
Berkeley. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
University of California.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
I was like, wait a minute.
Aaron Rodgers' school.
Yes.
But yeah, some of those additions too. But I guess
Mhm.
can they make a push? And especially Stanford's been good in the past too, but ACC football has some things to look forward to with their additions and just again, everyone just moving for especially the TV money. I think the bottom line, a lot of these teams move for the TV money getting involved and getting their share of the pot.
Definitely, and I respect that. I will say this: the ACC on paper is the most interesting conference for me to kind of try to dissect and predict because there's a lot of just solid programs, really. Obviously Syracuse, Pitt, and Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. Yeah, they'll be at the bottom end of the conference, but it's a strong conference. I really like the addition of Cal. I really like the addition of SMU, and yeah, I think it's a wide open conference. Clemson's definitely the favorite, but I do like the additions there. I think that it's going to be a really interesting year for that conference as well.
There you go. Again, a lot of these Pac-12 teams getting separated and might as well mention it now. So at this moment, the Pac-12, though it's still technically called the Pac-12, but obviously there's only two teams, Washington State and Oregon State. Even if this part of the convo is just pouring one out for them, the Pac-12, ironically making to the national championship too of Washington. You see anything with Washington State or Oregon State? Oregon State's been here and there. I mean, Washington State sometimes it feels non-existent. No offense to them, but
Yeah.
anything you think out of these two teams, just to be fair, to give them their time.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely respectable programs. I would say Washington State's probably better than Oregon State, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
I think they're I could be wrong. But I think historically speaking, at least in the last 8 to 10 years, they're both decent programs. They're very competitive in the Pac-12. They're on their own now. They're in the conference by themselves because everyone abandoned on them for more money, which kind of sucks for them. Um, but I couldn't help but laugh when I saw that. I'm like, no way. This conference has two teams left. What do you think? You think, you know, like how does that work? So they just play all their games out of conference. There's clearly no conference championship then, right? I mean, they can't be.
No, and they can't qualify for the college football playoff based on a. They said they need at least 8 teams for the conference to try to get at least a bid. But yeah, they're just you know rolling, hoping. But I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're East Coast guys, so not don't have any personal connections. I don't, at least I don't know if you do,
No, no. I
but
don't have any,
yeah, that
but
must just stinks. Growing up your whole life, seeing national champions, NFL talent come and go, but cold world, very cold world.
yeah, and it's temporary, man. You know, just like this conferences that we knew were temporary, this is going to be temporary as well. Those teams will end up moving conferences. The Pac-12 will either cease to exist or they're going to shift around more teams so that way it's more balanced, I would assume.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, you got to go where the money's at, right? I guess. These schools, they're moving because they're signing these massive TV contracts with Fox, ESPN, ABC, whatever it might be. So they got to get their money where it is. It makes sense, but it is very strange to see just two teams left in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was always one of my favorite conferences to watch, whether it be basketball or football or baseball. I
yeah.
know it sounds crazy as an East Coast guy, but their late games, there's something pretty cool about coming home from work or you're just hanging out. It's 10 o'clock at night and there's a football game kicking off, right? And these college kids are playing out on the
Put a
West
nice
Coast.
wager on it too. You rolling?
Right. And not even, man. Just watching friggin' football, man. I
Yeah,
just love watching football. I love late night games. Some of the late night crazy action you'll see in the Pac-12.
right.
Um, there's rivalries, and the other thing we never really got into is the rivalries are completely changing. So there used to
Yeah,
be rivalries in the Pac-12 with Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, Washington State. Um,
USC and UCLA.
right, right. Like these major rivalries that have been brewing and active for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden the team just leaves and
Yeah,
then they're
right.
no longer in your conference. So it's a little strange, but we'll see some new rivalries develop here.
Freaking insane, bro. Freaking insane. Now, Notre Dame, real quick, as a independent team, but still obviously a major deal in college football. I mean, it's freaking Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
So we already mentioned their big matchup against Texas A&M going in here. They're ranked seventh in the nation. New offensive coordinator, new quarterback, lost a lot of talent to the NFL, including Joe Alt. If they could get by this game, especially with the win, do we see them coasting their way to making making the first 12-team college football playoff?
Yes, I could. Yeah, I could see them definitely making the playoff. I will say I'll predict that they will make it. Um, I haven't really checked their schedule out. I'm gonna look right now. But usually, I don't know if we talked about this earlier, but usually Notre Dame's schedule is insanely difficult
Yeah,
because they're not in a conference, so they'll just get matched up with like some of the best teams.
just get the national spotlight. That big deal with NBC, for instance. Yeah,
Wow. I'm looking at their schedule right now, Matt, and I will say this, they have one of the easiest schedules I've ever
yeah.
seen them have ever. I
I
mean,
think
there's
that
not a
I
single
think
team.
I think top of my head, they don't really play a intimidating opponent until they play FSU. What's that? Week 8, 9? Off the top of my head, like they can coast after this. This is a crucial
Oh
win.
yeah,
Obviously, don't take the other team for granted, but they got a good
yeah.
opportunity coming here.
Oh, they certainly do. This is going to be a massive game this weekend. I think they're. I want to say they're 3 point dogs against A&M on the road, which is kind of nuts because most teams that would play in A&M would be a much bigger dog against them. But yeah, it's a favorable schedule. So they get A&M week 1, and then week 9, or no, excuse me, week 11 they play Florida State November
Okay,
9th,
11.
and then they get USC on in week 14. So those are their three biggest games. So week 1, 11, and week 14.
Wow,
Uh,
what a separation. Damn, that's why we love this stuff, bro. This is exactly why we love this stuff. But despite the easy schedule,
man,
they can still make some noise, and then they really can make a push and got to stay in that top 12, especially. And we'll
yeah,
see what happens from there, so that they can, since they don't have a conference to win, it'll be crucial for them to make some noise this season.
yeah,
So
definitely.
adding on top of that, we have what remains, the other group of five schools. Just one moment, please. So the other group of five, so the non-power conferences. So we have, like you talked about, the Mountain West, the Conference USA, the AAC, Sun Belt, American Conference. Out of what's remaining, is there anyone who sticks out to you? Like for me, I know Boise State looking like they have a lot of good momentum for the Mountain West.
Yeah.
People like Liberty. Liberty's had some good seasons here and there. They've been looking good. This could be a good opportunity for them to get in the college playoff, maybe even like 10, 11, 12 seed. Maybe like Appalachian State in the Sun Belt could be good. Um,
Yeah.
who could stick out to you from non-powered conferences?
For me, I'm gonna go with Memphis. The
Ooh, okay.
Memphis Tigers out of the American Conference. They come in with pretty high expectations. I think they're the favorite to win the American Conference this season. Them and I believe Tulane. Yeah, I believe them and Tulane are the two favorites. But yeah, I think Memphis could make some serious noise here. They have a very favorable schedule other than Florida State. They have to play.
Florida State somehow always getting our conference with this job.
Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
somehow Florida State ends up playing these guys in I think it's week 3, September 14th at noon. But that's in Florida State. But other than that, I see them definitely winning that conference. So yeah, I'll go with Memphis as kind of a random team from a smaller conference that could make some noise here this season.
Yeah, I like it. From the great Alec Reeves, everybody. I like that. So, um, ultimately, with our future, we pretty much said with our futures picks. I just wanted once and for all, as I said, my natty championship, if you will. We get Oregon and hmm. Got to pick a runner up. Who could be that? That's what's weird as we see as the season go how the seeding will actually be made. But
Yeah, right, right.
I think it'll be a classic to start off this college football season. A Big Ten school versus an SEC school as the top two conferences in the country. So if we're going off that, I picked Oklahoma for the SEC. So Oklahoma and Oregon National Championship in Atlanta, Georgia on the 20th of January. Wouldn't that be
Wow,
something? I think
I
we'll go with
love
that.
it.
I'll have to put that. So my national champion will be the University of Oregon versus the University of Oklahoma, the Big Ten versus the SEC for the national championship on January 20th. What are we
I love
doing
it.
for you, Alec?
For me, so national championship prediction. Who
Yes.
is it going to be? Good question. Let me look at my spreadsheet here. I'm gonna go with. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go with number 4 Texas preseason rankings, of course. I'm
Okay.
gonna go with Texas out of the AC, or excuse me, the SEC, because I think they're due. Right? I think they are due for a big season. They have Quinn Ewers behind center. They're a really good quarterback for them. They they got very far last year. They made it to the Final Four, to the college football playoff, losing to Washington in a thriller. Could have gone either way. So I'm gonna go with Texas out of the SEC, and I'm gonna go with Ohio State out of the Big Ten. So Texas to
Okay.
Ohio State for the national
Oh,
championship.
one
That's
thing,
my prediction.
whether one of us is right or wrong in this, it's going to be fun either way. Just seeing these teams match up and truly earning your spot, if you will. No more committee politics. You can't do that. You got to win your games. You got to win your conference, and you got to step up against these programs all over the place. So this
Yeah.
is the time, Alec, and I'm so excited to see where this all goes and let us cover and make this journey together with him, my dude.
Heck yeah, man. It's gonna be a great season, man. Gonna be a great season. Can't wait, Matt.
Amen. So why don't we now just finish this story off by doing some picks. So as I mentioned, even though this will have a separate show during the week with it and separate content, we're gonna do our week 1 picks for the college football season right now that officially kicks off today. So I asked Alec before if he can pick 3 spreads, whether for or against with it, and then we'll just go back and forth. Last season, the way we did it, bro, it was just too long. I used to do it with every single ranked team doing the spread there, and that took forever. And then the NFL did every
Yeah.
single game. So now we just focusing on 3 and we pick it up
Okay.
from there. So here's my first one. The spread of Florida State and Boston College. Florida State opening as 16.5 point favorites. Give me Florida State. Give me their points, 16.5. I think the offense will be relentless after a tough loss where
Yeah.
DJ, again, hard to pronounce his name. We'll just go with DJU. Is going to take it. Maybe Boston College, maybe one of the better unranked teams, but I see Florida State and the Seminoles making a push and bouncing back once and for all with that.
Okay. I like that pick, man. I like that a lot. I definitely agree with that pick. I think Boston College, they're an okay team, but Florida State should be able to beat them by at least 2 touchdowns and a field goal. What's the
Yeah,
spread on that one? Is it
right on
14?
16.5. So that would be perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So they'd have to win by 17 or more.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's certainly doable. You'd hope that they come out, ready to rock this week at home against a that game is at home, correct? It's in Florida.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. No, I like that pick a lot. Definitely can see them winning that game by more than 20, really.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hopefully they kick their ass. So what's your next one? What's your first pick, Alec?
My first pick. So I'm gonna go with. So this is a tough one. I kind of chose some harder games, some games that really have tighter spreads and just big matchups. Not to say that Boston College, Florida State's not a big matchup. That certainly is, but I'm gonna go with Clemson plus 13 and a half against Georgia.
Ooh, really?
I am.
Okay. Tell
I
me
think
about
this
it.
game. So I think with these early season matchups, I know it sounds a little crazy, but and this isn't a good example, but some of these big name schools that are playing these no name schools, the spreads are massive. They're like 30 to 40, 50 points, right?
Yeah.
I think it's very tough to win a football game by that much. It happens, but week one, the offenses are going to come out a little bit sluggish. Um, I just think some of these spreads are way too big. This is not an example of that kind of game, but you got Kansas playing like a Lindenwood at a 45-point spread.
Yeah,
I
right.
think that so you got to take a look at some of these dogs to cover. But Clemson, I think they keep it close. I'm going to take Clemson plus the points there. Give me Clemson plus 13.5 at Georgia.
I like that. A good way to start off. Georgia really coast for a lot of the season last year. It was almost straight up boring watching
Yeah.
them. But I like that pick going here. Now, my second one. Now, we talked about Colorado and North Dakota State. They are actually, North Dakota State is a second ranked FCS school, right? So come in here. And as much I do like Buffalo and I want to see them do well too. But I think the first game of the season with the overhype that North Dakota State as an FCS champion, they're gonna give them a run for their money. I think they will keep the game close. We're gonna go with the money line. It wouldn't even be crazy to pick the Colorado money line, but I'm gonna pick just because they give them 10 points, 10 full points. I think North Dakota State might give them a run for their money and keep it as a close game. Ultimately, could see Colorado winning it, especially at home as well. But watch out for North Dakota State, a growing program, a team that though an FCS school now, some people I've seen they felt that they can get into one of these group of five conferences down the road. Maybe they get into Mount West school as well, but they got a lot of good talent, especially offensively from what I'm reading. So Colorado is all set offensively, but defensively, they might have some holes, and maybe the FCS school with a huge opportunity can make a push for them. So give me North Dakota State and the 10 points.
I love it. I love it. And that was against Colorado State, correct?
No, Colorado Buffaloes, Coach
Oh,
Prime.
okay, okay. All right. Yeah, well, I did not realize they were playing North Dakota State. That's a massive matchup.
Yeah, exactly, right? I think it's going to be closer than people think, hence exactly why I picked him. And non-ranked teams, except North Dakota at this
Yeah.
moment, they're ranked second in the FCS.
Yeah, they're always right there at the top of the FCS. I don't know if you follow that towards the end of the season, but it seems like North Dakota State, what are they, the Jackrabbits? Or no, that's South Dakota State. Um,
The
anyways, they're a really good program. They dominate the FCS every single season. And
Yeah, they're the Bison, by the way.
all the Bison, okay. Anyhow, yeah, they're a fantastic program. I don't know if they'll beat Colorado, but I love them to cover as well. I think it's going to be a really tight game and could go either way, really. But it's an intriguing matchup to put it lightly.
Yes, exactly. Hence why I think it'd be closer than they think. And the 10 points is
Mhm.
pretty generous. So even if it's just a touchdown, we can rock and roll with that. So what's your next pick, Mr. Reeves?
So my next pick is going to be Penn State is going to go on the road at West Virginia. I'm going to take them to cover -8, which I don't like that spread because of the
Hmm.
whole they're gonna have to win by more than a touchdown, which I'm not a fan of taking spreads where it's 8 points versus 7.
Yeah. That's
You know what I
Vegas.
mean?
That's
Because
Vegas trolling you.
right, yeah, because they're gonna have to win by 8 points or 9. So if they win by exactly a touchdown, they don't cover. But I do like Penn State this year. I think they're gonna have a good year. West Virginia is no joke, but I think that they can win that game by 8 points or more. Start the year off on a high note here.
Dope stuff. All right, for my last pick, and when I did this originally, they already lost a point. But that could be a good thing with me here, but people will be interesting on this one. So I'm picking the Michigan Wolverines right into the big house, taking on Fresno State minus 21 and a half. sorry, minus 20 and a half. It was 21 and a half earlier today. They took down a point. So now you only have to win by 3 touchdowns. Hopefully it stays that way. And yeah, they had
Wow.
the Shireen Moore era is about to begin. They had a tight quarterback battle, but it looks like it's Alex Orji. I hope I'm saying that right. ORJI. But look at Alex
Alex Orton,
Orji.
what a
Yeah,
name.
for real. But also a Heisman favorite, a freak of nature, really big, really he's both a people comparing him to like an Anthony Richardson if he can hit his potential powerful arm, can run the ball too, and people think that he can even get good with his accuracy as well. They also adding with a new defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. I'm a big Giants fan, so I know him very well. And even with his breakup with Brian Daboll, it seems he knows how to run a defense professionally. I am sure that he could transition to the college level easily. And I think they're going to give a hard time with the Fresno State offense. So add the points with a powerful, exciting offense with Michigan, and then a new Wink Martindale run defense in Michigan. Could be a cakewalk for them almost, but 20 and a half points is very generous. I'm putting that in there.
I like that. I like that pick a lot. I was surprised that that spread actually wasn't more or, more
Exactly.
points
Those do they know
given.
something we don't know?
They always do, Matt. You should know that by now. Come
Oh
on.
yeah,
These
exactly.
spreads,
But
they're scary accurate. I mean, for the most part,
yeah.
they're pretty scary accurate. I
And
don't know
like I
how
said,
they
it was
can.
21 and a half today, and right now they took a point away. So, oh,
So you're saying the spread moved in favor of Fresno State, correct?
yeah.
So the okay. So, that likely means there's some big money coming in on Fresno State. So the books had to move the line.
There you go. Exactly what we were talking about. Exactly why I picked this because it was
Right.
a weird one.
So that right away. So if you're leaning Michigan to cover 21 and a half and it moved the other way, that's not usually a good sign for you.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I still like the pick. I still think they cover that regardless. The books do that just because they got to cover their own ass. They want to make sure they're getting even money on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
But I still like them to win that game. I don't think Fresno State's that good. I think they're a good program. They're a respectable program. They're not going to roll over. They're not going to get blown out, 58-2 or 58-10 or whatever. But yeah, I think Michigan will win this game by 3 touchdowns or more.
Amen. And we love Fresno State because of Aaron Judge. So,
Hell yeah. Our man Judgy and the captain, Davey.
amen. All right, your last pick for today, and we will call it a show. What's up?
So, my last pick, it was a toss up. So, I was looking at the Notre Dame game and the LSU game. However, I did lean Notre Dame to cover the spread +3 against Texas A&M on the road. So, yes, I'm taking Notre Dame +3 to go on the road and cover +3 against A&M. So we got ourselves a dogfight of a game here, but I could see Notre Dame winning this game outright for sure.
Hmm. There you
But
go.
it's pretty accurate spread. Texas A&M, they come in. They're what, 18, 19 on preseason rankings. They're a very good program. Notre Dame, though, they tend to win big games. They tend to be right there in big games. I do not see that. I do not see A&M winning this game by more than a field goal. If they do, it's going to be one of those games where it's going to end up being a walk-off field goal or something like that, is my prediction. So I see Notre Dame covering the field goal there. So that's my last pick.
Well, there we go. All right. Well, here we go, bro. Here we go. That'll wrap it up for this college football preview and week one picks. Now let's see
Yeah,
how this all unfolds, bro. Thank you so much to Alec Reeves for pulling in today. Great work. And we'll see you again. We'll see you again really soon. All right. So
my pleasure.
Man, I'm just so excited, bro. Football's really here.
Football's back, baby. Let's go. It's that time of year. Flannel season, football, October baseball. Can't wait.
Amen. And stick around for our coverage during the whole journey. All right, we'll see you all soon. Peace.